All right, guys, I got kind of an interesting lock here. This is from Rick. Rick's a locksmith for Easy Picking Locksmiths in Leeds, West Yorkshire in the UK. And the last line of his letter kind of has me I'm a little confused. It says, and let me get this right, it says, it's done my nut right in. Now, I'm not really sure what exactly that means. I mean, a lot of these little islands, they form their own dialects, like, Bahamas, Bermuda. You guys, know what I'm talking about. If you've seen Braveheart, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, I think he means, well, let's not even speculate. If you take a look at this guy, he took it out of a restoration job of a house, and you notice that it's offset a little bit, and that's because it's one of the few commercial locks that looks like it has some kind of trap in it. So this side is trapped up, and I've tried everything I can. I've tried picking it to figure out which pins were trapping it, and I haven't been able to do that. I tried wrapping on the top of this to use like rebound effect to bounce it up out of the trap. Have not had any luck doing that either. There's nothing on the outside of the lock that I can see where you'd be able to do a reset of this lock. So Rick was so curious, he picked this side, got it stuck in a trap, and thought, well, maybe I did something wrong. And then he did the same thing to the other side. Now it does flop just a little bit, but it does not recock, and it's definitely locked. That's the maximum left and right that you're able to turn this core. So what I thought I would do, because you don't often get to see these things, I'm going to go ahead and just cut it right. I'm going to take it apart. Now on that little island called United Kingdom, they have their own peculiar brand of screws. This is a 3-bladed kind of Phillips, but I'll figure out how to get it out. We'll take it apart. We're going to cut it right here. We're going to cut right here, and then I'll basically be able to lift the hat right off the top, and we can pull that core out. We'll get a good look at the trap pins, the core, and then whatever's up inside the Bible, we'll get a look at that. Maybe there's more than one. I really don't know. What I expect to see, though, we've seen traps, I think, like this before. It is a T-pin, one or more T-pins, with a wafer beneath them. So if the key raises everything to the right height and you rotate it, that wafer will hold that T-pin in place, and it won't allow them to spring down inside of a pre-drilled hole inside of the core. I believe that is what Rick has here. I've tried taking the original key and putting it in, but once you're trapped, man, you're really trapped. Doesn't appear to be any recovery from this lockup. Anyway, let's go ahead and chop it up and lay everything out on the tray. Let's get a good look at it. All right, guys, maybe, just maybe those barbarians in the UK know a little bit about lock making. This actually turned out to be pretty interesting and not at all what I expected. It does have trap pins, so this would be the front of the lock, of course. I just sliced the top off and removed everything, but take a look. We have the 6 pins down the center, but you notice on the side we have 3 on the left, located at 1, 4, and 6. And then we have 2 pins on the right, located at 3 and 6. Inside of each of those 5 holes are one of these very strong little springs. So we drop him in there. Let's drop him in the front so we can see him a little better. And these little, and I mean tiny little barbell pins. So we got 5 of those guys that fit in there too. So he slides in there, and I don't even know if I hate to have to reassemble these, but he hangs in there just like that under a lot of spring tension. So if you're picking this or bumping this, I don't think you'd be able to rotate it fast enough to prevent that really strong spring from shoving these tiny little barbell shaped pins down into the core. Now let's take a look at the core. The core has nothing in it. Now these holes here are for these anti-drill pins, so they don't come into play in terms of locking it up. Instead, those little barbells drop down into these, because remember, the key pins, once you get the upper pin set against spring pressure, the key pins drop back down inside of there. So these little barbells, under great spring tension, if you rotate it and the original key is not holding that pin flush with the top, if it fell back down because you bumped it or you picked it, these little barbells would then shoot back down inside of there, preventing you from rotating that. A lot of flop in there, and that gives you that roughly 15 to 20 degrees of rotation. So let's take a look. The original, and I'm going to try to figure out how to beat it now that we know where the traps are. This one was picked, Rick picked this one, looks like counterclockwise. So let's pick counterclockwise. Let's line this up. Stick that dude in there, and he's roughly like 15 degrees like that. Let's take a look at where the core is rotated. So the one's on the left side there. So we need to figure out how to pick that little barbell, if we can feel it, out of chamber number 3 and chamber number 6. If we manage to pick those, perhaps we can rotate it back to its original location, oriented perfectly straight up and down. Then maybe I can use the key. Let's give it a shot, see what happens. All right, guys, that ought to hold it. It's still in the seized up or trapped position. The key will not go in it. What I'm going to try to do is we'll use bottom of the keyway, and we have to rotate it that way. And pick, remember, pin 3 and pin 6, and they are just super, super tiny. So what I'm going to try to do, because it is a paracentric keyway and we have a really tiny pin, this is the medium hook from the Praxis kit, 15 thousandths thick to let me get it through the paracentric keyway, and a tiny little tip to match up with that little trap pin. So I'm hoping that will work. So let's give it a shot. What I'm going to do is put it all the way over, slide it back and apply tension, and then position my pick on pin 6, then release the tension and see if I can't push that pin up. So then we've only got to work with pin 3. I hope. That's the plan anyway. That should be right about pin 3, right about there. Check 6 again. I'm getting no feedback from this guy. Let's try that again. Right about there's 3. Come on. I might be doing these out of order, because 6 keeps falling back down. All right, no problem. Let's release the tension and get on pin 3. Let me find him first. Apply tension, find pin 3. Should be right there. Release the tension. Try to pick him first. Then go to pin 6. Come on. I can't feel anything. I mean, I can feel which pin I'm on, but no feedback. Come on. Super light tension. And there we go. All right, we are back. Let's see if the key works now. And the key does work. So, man, this really did my nut right in. I got to say, Rick, I now understand completely what you were talking about. Something interesting I did discover is, well, first of all, it's interesting we got a commercial lock that the trap can't be released. There's no tool to release the trap in case of an accidental trap. You have to actually pick it. So remember, if you're picking this particular lock, this BAC, you have to, and you're counterclockwise, you have to pick it back pin 3 and pin 6. If you're picking it in the other direction, in other words, clockwise, sorry, that would be counterclockwise, you've got to pick pin 1, pin 4, and pin 6. They don't make this easy, guys. No easy to remember. Maybe you just take a picture of that, carry it in your bag with you in case you run across one of these bad boys. You don't want your right nut done right in, that's for sure. Anti-snap. I really didn't expect it to be quite that thick. This is just massive piece of hardened steel. And of course we got a weird screw in there. I was just joking around. It is proprietary, but it's just a screw that nobody can pull out your lock when you're not looking, remove that, and come back later and snap your lock. So if you don't have one of those proprietary screw tips, you are not going to be taking out this anti-snap. Very cool lock. I don't know what to tell you guys. Once you get stuck in that trap, you may as well get out your sledgehammer. Appreciate your time. Stay safe. Stay legal. Rick, thank you, sir, for the lock. I really do appreciate it. Never seen anything quite like it.